Hey man, planning to show us how to use Modbus, Profibus, anything bus really, I have no idea. How can I show you that? Have I got a way? 1 second, maybe I have, you can't see that, that's alright. I'll see if I can find, I've got a Modbus simulator on here, I think, on my computer. But what's the best way of showing you? We'll figure it out, That's not a bad shout. Welcome in, everyone. I do need to find my simulator though. I don't know where I've saved it. Welcome in, everyone. Is this like an indicator light? Yeah, that's just a little flasher circuit, mate. Yeah. There's a couple of timers that are flashing a light. Yeah, basically. Where have I saved my Modbus simulator? That's what I'm looking for right now, but I can't remember where I've saved it. Modscan. So I've got Modscan on here, so maybe I can show some Modbus stuff. However, I would need to go and power up my PLCs, which aren't powered up at the minute. Appreciate the follow. Who was that? Moniz, I think. Appreciate the follow. Thank you, buddy. What program? Who is that? Roland, thank you for sending a donut, mate. Thank you. This program here is called Simu Relay, but the program I was just looking at, that's called Modscan. So, who was it that asked? It was Roland who asked, I think, about Modbus. Hang on a minute. Oh no, it was Big Burrito. Sorry, Big Burrito asked. So I'm thinking about how the best way to show some Modbus stuff is. I will need to go power up my PLCs though, I think. Do I have a real PLC? Yeah, I've got a few. They're just not powered up at the minute. They're in my office, but it's all networked. What's this software? This is called Simu Relay. That's just showing it at the minute. Nah, I didn't, mate. No, I didn't. No, this isn't Fluid Sim, buddy. This is Simu Relay.
Thanks for the
follow. Appreciate the follow, Dandon. Thank you, mate. Yeah. 1 second. I think if I go and power up my PLCs, then we can maybe start. Who sent the... Oh, Lenstamau, I think. Appreciate the rose and the heart, me buddy. Thank you. Omar, good evening, mate. How are you tonight? Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, 1 minute then. Let me go and power up my PLCs. I'll be back in a second. Right, they're all getting powered up now. What kind of PLC does he have? I've got a Siemens S7-1200. I have 2 Mitsubishi FX5Us. One's an FX5UC. I've got loads. I've got a little Schneider M221 there. What else have I got? Schneider M172 HVAC type PLC. Yeah, I've got a few, mate. Factory I/O is the best to learn PLC. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of factory I/O recently. I'm having a night off from the factory I/O, if I'm honest. Yeah, we're gonna skip factory I/O tonight. Can you do some PID? Well, we did that last Saturday and Sunday, I think. We did the tank scene in factory I/O using PIDs. Right, so I've powered up now. I can probably start Navigator. I think we'll use the Mitsubishi PLC. Let's open that up. Have I worked with KNX? I haven't. 2121. I haven't, mate. That's a BMS controller, if I'm right. I think. Real man use Simulink and Visual Components. I've never done that, Richard. Yeah, I've never done it. It's Simulink. I used it for a little while during university, but I wasn't too keen on it. I never really got taught it. They don't really teach you at university, do they? They kind of show you something, and then it's sink or swim. You got to figure it out yourself. Appreciate the follow, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Louis Sacho, I think. Thank you for the follow. I could maybe do something with a Siemens, because I have got that set up on Modbus. Let me just shrink this down. It's not a bad shout. I haven't really planned anything tonight, so I'm kind of just going with the flow. But I'm thinking if I make some registers available within my PLC, we can manipulate them in the FX5. Do you know how to use CodeSys with PLC? I've never downloaded CodeSys into a PLC. I've used CodeSys plenty of times just for practicing and that sort of thing. The closest I would say I've got is Schneider Machine Expert. I don't know if anyone's used that for the Schneider M241s. I think it's the M251 as well. That uses CodeSys. It's like a flavour of CodeSys. Yeah, so I guess I kind of have, but it's not generic CodeSys, you know, like the one you download from them yourself. Coolest Dolphin, thank you to follow. Richard, I think it's Richard or Ricard maybe. Appreciate the follow, buddy. Thank you. Let's just try with the Mitsubishi for now. Like I say, I haven't got anything set up. I haven't planned anything for tonight. Is PLC good for young engineers to focus on? I think it is, buddy. I think it is 2121. There's a lot of money to be made PLC programming. If you can get good at it, you can subcontract to a lot of companies doing it. You can work for companies doing it. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made. Let's fire up GXWorks 3. Which software do you use? Is in PLC softwares? Mostly Mitsubishi GXWorks 3 and also some of the Schneider softwares. This that you're seeing here, this is Simu Relay. Communication between TCP IP or Modbus. So this would be Modbus TCP, because I don't have a serial connection to my PLCs. It'll be over Ethernet. Yeah, there's no courses to be sold here, Richard. There's not, mate. I've got no interest in doing any of that. Just Saturday nights, talking shop, showing some stuff. That's all I do. Make the odd video here and there. What's S1? That's just a switch. That's just really so I can get it started. That doesn't have to be there, in fairness. I can start and stop it at will with S1. Right, so while we chat, I'll try and sort this out. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and do a little bit of Modbus TCP. I'll disable the registration of that program. I will create a new program. We'll call this TikTok Modbus. You guys can't see this in a minute, don't worry about it. I'll bring it on screen in a sec. Right, let me bring that over. So, thanks for the follow. It's maybe the best place to see it. Maybe there's some stuff I can do to make it a bit bigger. Appreciate the follows, guys. Thank you. Ado Cow, I think. Just about average. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the follow. And also JD, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. So just a second, let me sort this out. Ladder editor, I can make it slightly smaller, which will make it a bit better to see. Make it 9 contacts wide. That looks pretty good, I think. In fact, that didn't even work. Never mind. Okay, so let me set up some Modbus. Device, no. Parameter, that's the one I want. FX5U CPU parameter. Appreciate the follows, guys. Thank you. Sam from Naboo and Garrett, appreciate it. Thank you. This isn't even the right place I want to be in. I need to focus. Get distracted. I want the Ethernet settings. Module Ethernet. There we go. Why is it turning off and on by itself? So I just put that together. It's just a flashing light. It's a flashing circuit basically. You can flash a light, or you can turn a relay on and off with a specific on-off period. There's not a lot to it. You've just got 2 timers. They're both set to 1 second in the minute. KT1 is turned on first. When it times out, it closes its contact up here, which then starts to time out KT2, which then resets KT1, and you use KT1 for whatever you're triggering. Fluid Sim's best program. I don't have Fluid Sim, mate. This is Simmer Relay. Yeah, I don't have Fluid Sim. Any experience with Bachmann PLCs? I've never heard of them, Gavin. No, I've not touched them. Yeah, Frags, it's a pretty easy circuit. There's not a lot going on there. Appreciate the follows, guys. Mercia, I think. Appreciate the follow. Oh, in fact, you shared the live. Thank you for that, mate. Guy Fua, thank you for the follow. What kind of electrician you are? I'm an electrical engineer. My job title is design engineer. So I design control panels and LV switchboards. Right, let's go back to this. I want to enable Modbus, but we don't do it there. We do it through simple communication. It looks like it's turned on already. I think that's because I'm doing some stuff with a Siemens PLC. I'm reading some stuff. Oh no, it's FX5UC to 5U. Okay. Oh. Appreciate the follow. Flallen, I think. Appreciate that, thank you. So you are LETO. I'm not sure what that means, Ponus. Unfortunately, yeah. DJ1 Gamer, thank you to follow. Appreciate it. Right, so what I was going to do, so someone asked me earlier, I think it was Big Burrito guy, I think, or Big Burrito something. He wants to see some Modbus stuff. So that's what we was going to look at. It could already be set up, in fairness. I'm not entirely sure. Let's just leave the address that was 1 at the minute. It's not happy. We don't have it set up at the moment. However, what if I try connect to, I think 120? Okay. So, what's the easiest way of showing this?
Thanks for the follow.
I'm reading some Modbus data right now. However, it's not from my Mitsubishi PLC, so I can maybe close that down. It's from a Siemens PLC. Sam Lloyd. If that's a Sam Lloyd I know, appreciate the follow, buddy. Tom Goodwin. It is definitely. You're both joining. How's it going, lads?
Thanks for the follow.
Show everyone how shit at beer pong you are.
Thanks for the follow.
I'm good at beer pong. I'm not good at drinking, though. I haven't drunk since probably the last time I've seen you, lads. James, thank you to follow. Appreciate that. Dara, thank you to follow as well. Right, I'm just booting up the VM that I've got the Siemens PLC on. And then we'll do some Modbus stuff. What's the name of this software? So that the software you just seen, that was GXWorks 3. That's not free. This is called Simmer Relay. That is free. Guy, thank you for sharing the live, buddy. Appreciate it. Ethan, welcome in, mate. How are you? Are you lads all together tonight? Right, I'm just booting up the VM. Right, okay, I can bring that over now. I'll put it roughly there. And about there. We'll fire up tier portal. So, just to kind of go back over what I was saying. Currently, I'm reading some Modbus TCP data.
Thanks for the follow.
I don't think I can zoom it in anymore. No, doesn't look like it. But what I'm doing right now, so I'm reading from device ID 1. I'm reading a holding register. And a holding register starts at the number 40,001. It's 40,000 for 10,000. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's something like 10,000 registers. No name. I'm not going to say that on live stream, buddy.
Thanks for the follow.
Doody, thank you for the follow. Neon PH, thank you for the follow as well. Appreciate it. And Janny, I think. Appreciate it, thank you. Have you ever used Modbus service? I haven't, Garrett, no. What sort of industry do you use that in?
Thanks for the follow.
Electrician, appreciate the follow, buddy. Yeah, so I'm reading 3 registers right now from my Siemens PLC. What I want to do is, if it hasn't already booted up, it doesn't look like it, is open tier portal, go live with a PLC, and I can show you where that data is coming from. Callum, thank you for the follow, appreciate it. How's everyone doing tonight?
Thanks for the follow.
Leprechaun, I think, appreciate the follow, thank you. You see I've got a load of files there. I don't want that one though, I want this one, I think. This is my actual PLC that I've got. So you were an engineer by PLC. So I'm a design engineer. So I design control panels and I design LV switchgear. So like switchboards and that sort of thing. But as part of my job, we do use PLCs. And I do the programming as well as the design. Programming Bosch controllers. Yeah, I've never used them either, Garrett. Yeah, I've never. What sort of industry do you work in, Garrett? Where do you use that sort of stuff? What do you do, Ponus? What's your job title? Right, so I have in my PLC that I've got in my office.
Thanks for the follow.
Any tips for getting better with reading drawings? Apprentice here. Yeah, I can give you a quick. I mean, it's not really much of a drawing. There's not a lot going on here. But I would say download Simu Relay, which is what this software is. Create some circuits. Maybe get hold of some circuits from like maybe from work or any projects you're working on. Get hold of the circuits, study them, maybe rebuild them in Simu Relay if you can. And then press play. And then you'll be able to see. So you see these red lines here. That's where the positive is. And you can see when I press S1, that red line works its way down. And you can basically, excuse me,
Thanks for the follow.
you can basically simulate circuits with this software.
Thanks for the follow.
So not only, like, you won't just be on your own trying to read and imagine how it works. You'll be able to see in real time, if you're able to put it in Simu Relay, that is, how the circuit itself works. It just comes with practice, mate. The more drawings you look at, the more control panels or whatever it is you work with that you see, you'll be able to pick it up more and more. Jonas, thank you for sharing the live. Flame, thank you to follow. Logos, thank you to follow. Baba Car, I think, thank you to follow. And Paul CG, thank you to follow. The name of this software is called Simu Relay. I'm getting off topic again though. We're doing Modbus tonight, or at least we're doing a little part of Modbus. So I'm just going to fire up basically my PLC that I've got through there. This might not work straight away, we'll see.
Thanks for the
I can
follow.
close that down, I don't need that anymore.
Thanks for the follow.
I have to struggle doing it on paper. Yeah, so drawings are definitely something that just kind of you pick up as you go along. Obviously, if you are an apprentice, like you said, I think you said you were an apprentice, just speak to your mentor, whoever you're working under at the time. Ask them for some tips. You know, how are they deciphering the circuit that's in front of them, that sort of thing. And just, yeah, the more circuits you see and are able to work with and understand more and more, the better you'll get at it. There's no real, like, you just have a light bulb moment. That's how I describe it. It's like one day you don't really get it, and then you'll wake up the next day, you'll look at the same circuit, and you're like, I kind of understand a little bit of that now. You kind of, it's just something you attain, I think. The more you're, what's the word? Well, basically, the more circuits you see, the more you'll be able to pick up as you go along. Jockle, thank you for the follow. Lysander, thank you to follow. The Hills radio station, thank you to follow. Ethan, thank you to follow. Do you learn VHDL? No, I never did, mate. I think that's to do with programming FPGAs, isn't it? Right, let me just go into this a little bit more. That I've set up the Modbus server on there. I'm putting some registers. What was I doing there? Somewhere I should have Modbus TCP data. There we go. Let me put that on a live view, see what values we've got. Status. That's to do with the block itself. They're not my registers. These are my registers. So I've got an array inside my Siemens PLC at the moment, which is holding a load of data. So I can see there I've got a number 21. Not that one, that one. So I don't know if you can see that there. What's the best way to show this? I can make that a lot smaller. I can maybe bring that down. Take that up. So try and line it up a little bit. I don't know how well you can see that. But in register 40,001, I have the number 21. And you can see in this holding register here, I also have the number 21. So what this software is doing, this software is called ModScan. This is a Modbus master. This is acting as if it's like a PLC or a controller of some sort that is a Modbus master. It is reading that data from the Siemens PLC that I've got in my office. 999, thank you to follow. Usman, thank you to follow. User 772, thank you for sharing the live, buddy. Are you doing analog stuff then? I'm just basically showing a little bit of Modbus TCP because someone asked me a minute ago. I didn't really have a plan for tonight. Yeah, you agree, the engineer. I don't know. I don't feel like it's something that you can just look at and learn off the bat. I feel like you just need to be more exposed to these drawings. And like I say, one day you'll just wake up and you'll have a better understanding you did the day before. You'll have that light bulb moment and you'll just kind of get it. Andy, thank you to follow. MPHO gift, thank you to follow. Is Simmer Relay free? It is, Garrett. Yeah. So let me just close that down a second. That's another software I was going to look at. Where have I put it? There we go. This software is called Simmer Relay. It is free. You can find it on the Microsoft Store. You can find it on your phone, on the Google Play Store or Apple Store. Totally free. The only thing you do have to pay for, so just to like full disclosure, these timers that I've got, you do have to pay for those. I think it's about £10 or something like that if you want to unlock timers. But everything else is free in it. It's just the timers, I believe, that they lock down. I don't know why, but I guess, you know, they need to make their money some way. Jack, thank you to follow. Crispo TV, thank you for sharing the live, buddy. What's the difference between Modbus and BACnet? I don't really work with BACnet, I'll be honest. I don't have a great understanding of BACnet myself. It's kind of like a BMS type protocol. Yeah, Ale, appreciate the follow. Thank you, buddy. So just to go back, I know I'm jumping between a lot of stuff here. This software, this one I'm shaking now, that's called ModScan. That's a Modbus master simulator. That is reading the number 21 from a physical PLC I've got in my office. You can see the number 21 is shown here. it's also reading the number 512. You can see in that PLC that 512 is on and off pretty quick, but it doesn't go to 0 in the Modbus because the Modbus master is too slow at reading it. It's not set up to be very fast. Modbus isn't a very fast protocol, full stop. It's a very old protocol. It's been around like 40 odd years. I don't know about Modbus TCP itself. That's obviously a lot newer. That came around after Modbus RTU and ASCII. Appreciate that, Mrs. Logical Controls. Thank you. But yeah, I'm reading data, so I'm going to, I wonder if I can, I don't actually know, I'm still learning Siemens, but if I can put the number, I don't know, how do I change, can I change even, doesn't look like it, modify value, there we go, so I'm going to put the number 1234 in there, so you can see that there, Lagiver, thank you for the rose buddy, appreciate that. I put the number 1234. You can see on there that ModScan has also picked up the number 1234. So I'm live reading data out of a PLC that I've got in the office. Mate, I'm an elect tech, and to be honest, I know my limits. You lads are a different league. It's just experience, I guess, Andy. I spent a long time doing this stuff. I do it not every day. I'll be honest, I don't work with PLCs every single day. A lot of the stuff we do, we have industry bespoke controllers. So I work in power generation. I don't know if anyone else does, but we have controllers such as Deep Sea, Comap, DIFE, even Cummins controllers. These are all controllers that control engines, alternators, control switchgear, that sort of thing. But every so often we do need a PLC. And that's, yeah, just exposure to it. I've done it a long time. Mihai, thank you for the follow. MTHO, thank you for the follow. Roman, thank you for the follow. You are so weak on this. I don't know what you're talking about, Bonus. Do you run online classes on programming? I don't. Mechanics, no, I don't. I don't do any sort of classes or anything like that. The only thing I do offer is a little bit of time and advice and that sort of thing if you're a super fan. So if you DM me and you're a super fan, I'll try and give you as much help as I can. Big Burrito, don't know Alan Bradley, mate, no. So just to go over this then, because Big Burrito, you were asking about Modbus. Modbus works, there's a number of function codes. It all begins with, let me try and make this a bit bigger so I can help you understand it. All devices which are a slave have a device ID, and Modbus works as a master-slave or client-server basis. There's one device which is requesting data. All the other devices only give data. They just supply that data. The Modbus master says, I want to know what's in register 40,001, and I want to know it from device ID 1, which is what I'm looking at now. You might have 20 devices all linked together, and if I put device ID 5 in there, I would get different data because it would be a different controller. I'm asking for that data using a function code, and a function code, you can have a number of different ones. I'm asking for function code 3, and that's holding registers. That's, in most cases, I would say in like 85% of the time, you probably will read data over the holding registers using function code 3. And so the difference between 1, 2, 3 and 4, number 1 is bit data, so coil status, that's normally outputs, and you can pick like output, I don't know, 0.5 or output 1.2 or whatever from like if you're reading from a PLC. So yeah, that's normally sort of outputs. That's when you read function code 1. I don't ever read function code 1, I'll be honest. Function code 2, input status. That's still bit data. Jesus, I can't say it. And again, that's, you only get a 1 or a 0. It's off or on. It's true or false. It's high or low. There's no variability between it. It's either 0 or it's a 1. And the way function code 1 was outputs, function code 2 is normally inputs. So you'll be looking at digital inputs there and that sort of thing. Whereas, appreciate that, Elas Miriam. I'm sorry, I probably not said your name right, but I appreciate the heart me. Thank you. So then we come to function code 3, which is holding registers. This is not just integer data, but it's basically, it's not bit data anymore. It's values. So as you can see, I've got in 40,001 the number 21. If I was to look at that as binary, you can see I've got a 16-bit register here. There's 16 bits in there. And the number 16 comes from the fact that I've got a 1 in bit 0, I've got a 1 in bit 3, and I've got a 1 in bit 5. I don't know if any of you know your binary systems, but you will get the integer number if you read it as a decimal. That's not decimal. What's that one? Integer. If you read that as an integer, it's 21. I hope this is making sense. I know I'm going a bit quick. Is it Modbus? DT it is, yeah, that's what we're looking at the moment. Lulu, thank you to follow. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with that name. Elias, I think. Thank you to follow, appreciate it. Miss Logical Controls coming out with the stickers. We've got a load of new stickers. And if you send a heart me, you can start using them. Appreciate the follow, DT. So, yeah, function code 3, 85, 80, maybe 80, 85% of the time, you will read data on function code 3, which confusingly, so here's the confusing part. If you read data on function code 3, that applies to registers 40,000 and above. If you read data on function code 4, that is registers 30,000. So it's kind of like flipped. When you think of function code 3, you got to think 40,000. When you do function code 4, it's 30,000. What is Modbus? Modbus is a communication protocol. So if you've got, well, for example, I've got a PC in front of me. I've also got a Siemens PLC. If I want to get data from that Siemens PLC into my computer here, my PC, I need a protocol that they can communicate on. And Modbus is one of the most open protocols in existence, really. There's so many different manufacturers and stuff that use it. Appreciate it, Technica, thank you for the rose. Miss Logical Controls, thank you for the summer suns. And Technica, thank you for the white rose, really appreciate it. What's with Profinet? So Profinet is mainly a Siemens protocol. It's kind of rare to find it outside the Siemens sort of ecosystem, I guess. How is it different than Modbus TCP/IP Modbus? How is it different than TCP/IP? I'm not entirely sure of your question there, mate. I'm struggling to understand what you're asking, but this is Modbus TCP. So the actual physical connection between my PC right now and the Siemens PLC is over Ethernet. There's an Ethernet cable, a Cat6, between the two. So Modbus comes in two forms. It comes in RTU and it comes in TCP. RTU is a screened cable. It's a pair, a differential pair as well, I think. And it's a serial communication. Whereas what I'm doing right now is Modbus TCP, which is a TCP connection. Sicko, thank you to follow. Andrew, thank you to follow. Technica, thank you to follow. Samuel, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so I can read a bunch of registers. I already got it preset up. I can read 20, I guess. No, 19. 0 to 19. Still not happy. Let's do 15. We'll do 15. It should actually work with 20, but I don't know why it didn't. So I can read a number of registers. And I can't show both at the same time, unfortunately, because this is in a VM. So I've got Siemens in a VM. I've got ModScan on my actual computer. I appreciate that, Technica. Thank you, mate. Do you get Modbus to Profinet converters? You do. Yes, you do, Antonio. You can get Modbus to Profinet converters. So I can put in there 5000. So this is an actual register within the PLC that I'm going to set the number 5000 in. And you'll be able to see that ModScan is able to read that from the PLC. So the times when you would use Modbus more often than not is if you have a PLC that would be your Modbus master or your Modbus client, and you might want to read data. So for me, I work in power generation. A lot of the time we read data from meters, energy meters, power meters, that sort of thing, which are by a different manufacturer. So we might use a Mitsubishi PLC, but these meters are made by Schneider or something. And the common protocol that they can both talk on is Modbus TCP or Modbus RTU, depending on how we do it. And that's what makes Modbus so good. Most manufacturers use it. It's very open. Multiple different manufacturers of devices can talk to each other over it. Gab, thank you for the follow. Arbor P, Arbor P, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's a little bit on Modbus. It's not the best explanation because I haven't really prepared anything apart from I am able to show it. So in real time, I can show you I'm reading data from a Siemens PLC that I've got in a different room. How to set up from the T side? I can show that, mate. It was a bit of a nightmare. It was a head scratcher to get going. I'm not a Siemens guy, you know. I don't use Siemens a lot. I've got a Siemens PLC. I'm trying to learn it more and more. So what I had to do was I didn't have to. I did decide to make an OB for it. So it's in its own OB. What I had to do was, that's just moving data. Don't worry about that. That's just moving data. We come down. In fact, it's not even in that OB. It's in the main, I think. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? That's something else. There's a block somewhere. Ah, it's here. Sorry, my mistake. So yes, I did make an OB. You need this block called MB server. I believe it was under communication instructions over on the right hand side. Let me find it. I did this maybe like 2 weeks ago, but it was a nightmare to get going. Communication. Others, I think. Yeah, others. Modbus TCP. I needed MB server because my Siemens PLC is acting as a Modbus server or a Modbus slave, however you want to describe it. So I dragged that in and that gave me the block. But then you have to kind of set up the block. There's some setup to do. So it requires a load of data to be mapped to it. And I made a data block purely for doing that. So I have disconnect, connect, NDR, DR, error, and status. So basically all of those registers, I guess you would call them, are mapped to this MB server block. One thing you do need to do is this bit of code. Now I had to Google this. I have no idea what this does. I have no idea what it means.
Thanks for the follow.
But yeah, you need to set it up roughly like that. Take a screenshot if you want to do this in the future. Do you know how to make a shared ME? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Nomad. Oh, shared memory driver. I don't, mate. I don't know. Like I say, I'm not a Siemens guy. I don't know a lot of the Siemens nuances. It was a bit of a nightmare to set up. I remember that much. It took me most of the day, of Googling and stuff like that. What are the NDR and DR tags?
Thanks for the follow.
Honestly, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. In Mitsubishi, it's way easier to set up Modbus. It's done through configuration rather than done in the logic. So, this is a ladder rung. I've had to bring in a block to do it. I've had to map all the, all this data to it. In Mitsubishi, it's a set of... It's almost as easy as if I went into device configuration and double click that. And I should get something at the bottom. It's almost as easy as setting up, like, I don't know, your clocks or something. There's really not a lot to it in Mitsubishi. It was a bit more of a nightmare. It was a bit more difficult than I was imagining it would be. Mam, thank you to follow. Nomad, thank you to follow. User 765, thank you to follow. Krauts, I think. Kraus, appreciate the follow, thank you. Peter Jackson, thank you to follow. What are the Rockwell equivalents? I don't have the Rockwell software, mate. I don't know Rockwell either. So like I say, Mitsubishi and Schneider are the two main PLCs that I work with. So if I was to show you the Schneider software, because I have got that open somewhere. So this is Machine Expert Basic. This is for this very controller, which is a very low-end, low-cost controller, but it's pretty powerful. It's a good PLC. The only downside, I guess, is you can't program in anything but ladder and instruction list. So if I was to set this up, I would come over to Ethernet 1. I think you guys can see that okay. I would set the IP address of the PLC. I didn't mean to do that. 192.168. Oh, 168.1.1 or something.
Follow.
I would enable Modbus server, and that's basically all you've got to do. You would have to set your registers up. So the minute you enable Modbus server, it takes all the memory words inside the PLC. So there's some memory words, %MW0 all the way up to whatever you've got set. There's currently 2000 set by default, and that would be register 40,001. That would be register 40,002, register 40,003. Yeah, it's super simple to set up in Schneider and Mitsubishi. If I wanted to make it a client, there's a little bit more to it. I would have to enable... Well, you don't even have to enable Modbus mapping. You can either do it in Logic or you can do it through configuration. I would say I want to look at, I don't know, device 10. I would add in here what the IP address is. 25, something like that. I would make it as a generic. I would enable the TCP scanner, add it. Then once I've done that, I can come across here to channels, and I can just start adding what I want to read. So let's say, let's take the example of a meter, like an energy meter, like I was saying. So energy meter 10 data or something. You can call it what you want. I'd read it on function code 3. So just to go back, that's how I'm reading that data from the Siemens. Function code 3, which is the holding registers, and they start at the number 40,001. So I'd read function code 3. I'd do it on a cyclic time, so it will just keep repeating itself. It will just keep polling that data over and over and over. You can set it to a rising edge, so you can set when you want that to happen. So then it asks you, what objects do you want to read? Well, offset 0 is register 40,001. How many do you want to read for? Do I want to read 40,001 to 40,010? So in that case, I would put 9. Or if I wanted 11, I'd put 10. Because it starts at 0. So the confusing thing with Modbus is some devices start at 0, some devices start at 1. It's quite a headache actually to get around. If you find your Modbus doesn't work, usually the trick is just add 1 to the register or take 1 away, and you'll normally get there. Yeah. SP5, thank you to follow. Ernestas, thank you to follow. Seb1990, thank you to follow. DYX, thank you to follow. Caesar RG, thank you to follow. And Solly, thank you to follow. Appreciate it. Do you have any good idea? I usually use ton timer, but a few times doesn't want to start. In what software, ma'am? What does Modbus mean, please? Modbus is just a name that was given to that type of communication. It was invented by a company called Modicon, and bus is usually referring to some sort of communication bus, especially since it was a serial communication when it was invented. So they just took the first bit of their name and the last bit of bus or communication bus, and they put it together and made Modbus. That's what it means. It is a communication protocol which is very open and allows you to communicate between different manufacturers of devices. Oh, Condodon, sorry, I didn't see that. Thank you. Yeah, it's a communication protocol. Never thought I would get AV on my damn TikTok. AV. What's AV? Snarky Man, welcome in, mate. How are you tonight? Appreciate everyone who's following, by the way. There's been a lot of followers tonight already. 62, and I've only been live 48 minutes. That's cracking. Yeah. Rack, thank you for the follow. Carthel, thank you for the follow. User 950, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, so we're just talking about Modbus, really. That I came on with no real idea what to talk about, but someone asked me to show some Modbus stuff.
For the follow.
So that was how you would set it up in Machine Expert Basic. Just talking about Modbus, mate. Just kind of going over Modbus TCP in particular, because that's all I can show at the moment. How do you connect Modbus RS485 to a Profibus network? You would need a converter. They do exist, because I do remember using one maybe about a year ago. I don't know a great deal about Profibus. I think Profibus is easier by the sounds of things. You generate a table of information, and then you just import that table on the other end, whereas Modbus kind of needs to be set up on the server or slave side, and then you need to re-enter all that data on the client side. What's Modbus? It is a communication protocol, buddy. It's for communicating between different manufacturers of controller. No, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's not a problem, Brad. Not a problem at all. So I can kind of show you. If you missed it, I'm assuming a lot of other people missed it as well. I've got a Siemens PLC in my office at the moment. I've powered it up, so it's in a completely different room to me. If I look into this data block here, there's a number of values on here, so I can set 789. So I'm just writing directly to that PLC through the PLC software. So this is information that is stored in the PLC at the moment. What I'm able to do from my PC, this isn't through the Siemens software or anything. I'm able to read that data. And if I'd set up this Schneider PLC here, it's upside down, never mind. If I was to set this up, I could get this PLC to read data from that Schneider PLC. And you could use that Siemens PLC almost like a remote I/O or anything, if it has a specific counter in it or something that's important, that you need to get that information into another device like another PLC. Modbus is a good way to do it.
For the follow.
It's not the fastest protocol. It's quite an old protocol, but it's a very simple and straightforward protocol.
Thanks for the follow.
Con the Dom, thank you to follow. Silent, thank you to follow. Arap, I think, thank you to follow. Brad, thank you to follow. One True Morty, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Yeah, those Anybus or ProSoft converters are good, but needs to be set up properly, otherwise it's a pain. I guess that would be for so like Rockwell stuff, wouldn't it, Con the Don? ProSoft, a lot of their stuff is for Allen Bradley, I believe. I don't do a lot of Allen Bradley, to be fair. Is there a license required for this software? Yeah, so you do need a license for TIA Portal. I believe ModScan's also a license. But I think there are free alternatives to ModScan. There are free alternatives. It's just a Modbus master simulator. There's not a lot going on with it. It just requests data from a controller and displays it, basically, ModScan. It's a good tool for testing and debugging on when you're doing Modbus stuff. There's also a sister software called ModSim, and that acts as a slave or a server. The terms master, slave, client, server, they're kind of interchangeable. Master and slave more is used when it's a serial communication. Client server is more a term when it's a TCP. I do believe, with the way the world's gone, master slave has sort of been pushed to the side. People don't like to use that terminology anymore, so they tend to just use client server instead. Yeah, we use Rockwell. Not many of us in Europe with it. It's nice when you're used to it. Yeah, I've never really touched it, to be fair, Con the Don. I do build, like my company that I work for, build control panels using them, but it's usually our client who programs them, so I've never really had to get into it. Yeah, so there's a bit of Modbus. Hopefully that made sense to those who listened. Yeah, it's an open communication protocol, basically, for allowing communication between different manufacturers of devices. So, for example, I don't know what a good example is. I'll forget that. It's a bad example. You're literally the top. You are Big Burrito. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, it's all it is these registers exist within the Siemens PLC. We're able to read that data out. So if you think of like a SCADA system or a BMS system, some higher level system which looks at as a site or a process as a whole, you need to feed that with the data. That needs to know what's going on with these different devices. So you might have these little local PLCs everywhere, and Modbus TCP is a good way of pulling all that data out from these different devices. Yeah, I appreciate it, Burrito. Oh, you're an American company, so you use Rockwell gear. That's fair enough, mate. Yeah, Rockwell still, kind of does exist in the UK. It's definitely not as big as like Siemens and stuff, but it is there. A lot of the water sites use like utility sites and stuff use Allen Bradley and Rockwell. What is the resistor for at the end of line? So on a Modbus RTU system, like a serial Modbus system, you basically daisy chain all your devices together. If you don't, and you need to use a specific impedance of cable as well. So you need, I think it's 60 ohm cable, or is it 120 ohm? Yeah, it's 120 ohm, and then when you got the resistor on, it goes down to 60 ohm because it's a parallel resistor. You need that resistor because if you don't have it, when the data is being sent along the chain, you can get what's called a reflection. So when it gets to the end, that data starts to work its way back, and it starts to interrupt the data and interrupt the communications. And by putting a 120 ohm resistor on the end of line, it basically, I don't know the best way of explaining it, but it soaks up that reflection. That reflection doesn't happen, and it doesn't interrupt the rest of your data. Yeah, auto clicker. I mean the tables, the little graphs. What do you even call it? The lists at the top. They're just for exactly that. If you want to get on that leaderboard, you just need to get clicking. Yeah. But yeah, that was a little taster of Modbus. I'm glad you asked, actually, Big Burrito, because I was able to show that relatively easily, and it wasn't really something I thought about showing. Anyone else losing signal? I hope not, Salvador. Hope not. What is the best baud rate? So the baud rate is kind of dependent on the system, Snarky Man. If you go for a low baud rate, so 9600, you can actually read from devices much further away. The slower it is, the further you can basically go with your serial line. The higher it is, so the faster you're reading it, you have to make the line much shorter. But also, slower basically is much less likely to be subject to interference. Obviously, the faster the better. That's the way you should go. But if you find you're having slight issues with interference, or maybe the device is a little bit too far away, you'll have to bring that down. So I think it's like, I typically try and use 19200, which is quite slow, because I think 11, I can't remember, 1150 something K baud is the fastest, I think. Yeah, no worries, Big Burrito. Thanks for joining, buddy. Can you repeat what you did with another PLC brand? Have I got another software? I've got... Well, I can show you. So it's not another brand. So I've got here, open up here. This is a different Schneider software. So I obviously showed you... Let me just close the VM. Let me just pull this out the way a second. So I showed you doing it with Schneider Machine Expert Basic, which is for these PLCs. But there's another Schneider type of PLC which is actually aimed for the HVAC market, called Machine Expert HVAC. So I kind of had this open in preparation of maybe showing some stuff. You can't quite see everything, but so that's just a little function block I wrote in that. I think I made a video in it about a year ago, how to scale and clamp and that sort of thing. But in this software, it's again, Schneider make it real easy for Modbus, because I believe they own Modicon. And in fact, talking about Modicon, I don't know if it says it on it somewhere. Yes, it does. This is a Modicon PLC. You might not be able to see that. So Modicon made the Modbus protocol. Schneider at some point in time bought Modicon, and that is actually a Modicon PLC. So because Schneider own, you know, the company who invented Modbus, they make it quite easy to set it up. And in this, I mean, this software isn't the best, I'll be honest. This isn't a great software. Can I show it a bit better? Maybe like that. I'll have to remember how you do it.
Thanks
actually.
for the follow.
Appreciate the follows, guys. Thank you, thank you. Is that Korean? Maybe a Korean name, I think. Jaime as well. Thank you to follow. Agade, I think. Thank you to follow. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's like Profibus and Profinet in Siemens. You're right. But with Profibus and Profinet, it's kind
Thanks
of
for the follow.
really, there isn't that many manufacturers of controllers and stuff that actually use it other than Siemens. It's not quite as widespread as Modbus. Let's have a look. Where do we set this? I can't even remember. So this does BACnet, and someone asked about BACnet earlier. I don't really know anything about BACnet, I'll be honest. I've never had to use it. It's more of like a BMS protocol. Let's just close that down a second. There is somewhere, I just can't remember where.
Thanks for the follow.
It's not the BIOS parameters. Maybe the status variables. It's not them. Not the enums. Somewhere there is Modbus. I'm just maybe being blind and can't see it. I haven't used this software in a good while. I haven't powered up that PLC for a good while. The great thing about a Schneider M172 is it's packed with analog inputs and analog outputs, digital inputs and digital outputs, all in one little brick. I mean, it's a bit bigger than this, but not by much. It's maybe like maybe a little bit wider. It's definitely thinner. You always prefer open protocols. I'm the same, David. Yeah, I do always prefer them. I just love Modbus. Modbus is great. With the TM221, you can't program with structured text. No, you're right, you can't. And to be honest, I'm with you there, John. The 241 is, for the price difference, I don't have a 241 actually. I've got a couple of 221s. I can't remember how much one of these would cost brand new, but it's not much. It's maybe like £150 or something. But for like £250 you can get the next one up, and that uses like a flavour of code sys. It's just a better controller, a 241. Yeah, agree.
Thanks for the follow.
Polak, thank you to follow. Appreciate that, mate. Helio, I think. Or hello, maybe. Appreciate that, thank you. Tagger Free, thank you to follow. Is this Elio? No, this is Machine Expert HVAC, this one. So I was looking for the Modbus stuff, because Modbus objects, EEPROM parameters, not that. Is it that one? No, I think it's just here. Just by adding a variable. So you can see I've got 3 there. I don't have this PLC powered up at the moment, so I can't read from it. But I've got 3 parameters there, and it automatically gives them an address. So 8960. If I read on function code 3, made the offset 8960, I would be able to read the scaled temp value. And just by adding parameters and changing what the what the type is, the data type, it just adds them already to the Modbus registers. So yeah, Schneider make it super easy. It's a bit more to set up if you want to make it a Modbus client or a Modbus master, but why is that just not... Ah, there we go. Yeah, like I said, I haven't used that software in ages, so... Modbus is good for metering and fan control, but must never be exposed on a network. Yeah, I agree, David. I don't put it on like a site network. We make our own little network, a little private network up for our devices. But yeah, you're right. For what I do, a lot of the time we use Modbus to read from power meters, energy meters. We also use it for device-to-device communications if they're different brands, that sort of thing. Janitor Tech, welcome in, mate. Thank you for sharing the live, buddy. Yeah, so it's not Zelio. Zelio you can do Modbus on, but you do need an extra card. I've got a couple. I've got a, I think it's something like a ModNet for Modbus TCP, or a, I can't remember off the top of my head, I'll be honest. What about Modbus RTU or ASCII? So, yeah, I showed you Modbus TCP. I can't show Modbus RTU because I don't have anything set up at the moment. In theory, it works identically, as in it's registers, it's function codes. You have a device ID, you have a length of how many you're reading. So that side of things doesn't change. The only side that does change is you don't have. So when I go to connect, I'm putting in an IP address. So I'm looking for that Siemens PLC that I've got by typing in an IP address. Modbus TCP is super easy, straightforward to set up. There's almost nothing to go wrong. You just need to get the IP address right. Make sure they're plugged to, they're connected together with a Cat5 or Cat6 or something. It's really easy. If I was to look on serial, then you don't have IP addresses anymore. You have basically a baud rate, which is the speed of communication. I didn't actually realize you can go down pretty low. I've never seen the devices I work with never go below 9600, and they never go above 115200, 115,200 baud. I tend to prefer 19200. That's what I choose by default most of the time. So you have a baud rate. You never had that when it was Modbus TCP. You have a length of data bits. You never had that when it was Modbus TCP. You have a parity, so that's basically so when you're sending Modbus requests and when it's returning the data, there's like packets of information and there's standard lengths. So what you're saying here is, should that data message, should it end in 00 or should it end in, basically should it be made up of an even numbers or odd numbers? It's more of a check to make sure your data is good. So all this stuff that you're seeing here, that you don't have that with Modbus TCP. It simplifies it a whole lot. Number of stop bits. Again, this is all just like the structure of the message for checking whether it's good data or not. Yeah. But Modbus, between Modbus TCP and RTU, I never used ASCII. ASCII, I've never ever used that, or ASCII, however you want to pronounce it. That's kind of old school. ASCII got replaced by RTU pretty much, and RTU still does exist, but I'd always prefer Modbus TCP. Like I say, makes it super easy. You need an IP address, the port ID as well. The port number, which is always 502 for Modbus. So let me just OK that again. Yeah, it's the exact same. If I was to do that in serial, you would see all the same stuff. You would see register numbers, you would see data, you have a device ID, you have the actual function codes that you're talking on or requesting data from. Yeah, hopefully that helped. Muid, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but thank you for the follow. I really, really appreciate it. Modbus TCP is the best. I love Modbus TCP, yeah, I do like it. You only ever use Allen Bradley PLC setups, such as Logix 5000. I wonder how it compares to Siemens PLC. I don't do much with Allen Bradley, mate, so and I'm still actually kind of learning Siemens. It's not one that I've I just don't really use it. Yeah, I don't really use it. So this is my VM, just to show you again. For anyone new who's just joined, I have a Siemens PLC in my office in a completely different room. The Siemens PLC has a load of data sat in its registers, and I'm just polling that data using ModScan. Modbus is a master to slave arrangement. You're right, David. It is. I explained that earlier on. Although I believe, you know, with the day and age that we're in, they don't like using the term master and slave anymore. It's client and servers, isn't it? Slow speeds sounds like Lomworks. I never used Lomworks either. I'm aware of it because old Cummins controllers used Lomworks, but they had a converter for Modbus. Yeah. The thing with Modbus is it's very open. It's very easy to use, but it is slow. It's not like EtherCAT or, you know, any of these newer protocols these days. CC Link TSM, is it, or something like that? It's like real time or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really use it. What are you up to? I was just explaining Modbus. Yeah, I was explaining Modbus. Do you know OPC UA? Not really, mate. I'm sort of vaguely aware of it. It's we had used it on a job for a SCADA not so long ago, but I didn't really get too involved with it. I am aware of it, and I believe it's becoming a bigger thing, but I haven't had the chance or needed to use it as of yet. Modbus TCP versus Profinet. Which one would you prefer? I'd always go Modbus TCP. I believe Profinet is just a better better communication protocol, but it's not as open. Siemens obviously uses Profinet a lot, you know, for everything almost. That's probably why it was such a nightmare to set up the Modbus side, because, you know, it would usually just be used to do Profinet. But I don't work with Siemens PLCs, so that's why I've never really had to use it. Playing chess brought me here. That's a crazy jump. Appreciate you being in though, D-Man. Hope you're good. What am I communicating with? It's a S7-1200 PLC. Are you watching Conor Ben versus Chris Eubanks? That is a random question. I'm not, mate. Nah, I don't really watch boxing or anything like that. Yeah, I appreciate it, Big Burrito. Thank you for joining, and congratulations as well. Thank you for almost 12,000 likes from you. Your finger must need a rest, mate. Go and chill.
Thanks for the follow.
Profinet is only used in Siemens. It pretty much, yeah, that's what I mean. It's not really an open protocol. I mostly use RS-485. Yeah, I mean, I do as well. I wouldn't say mostly, but I do use it a lot. Snarky Man. It's definitely still a popular protocol. Or what would you call that? Hardware layer, maybe. Yeah, RS-485 isn't going anywhere. RS-485 is going to be around for a long time. I know Ethernet is the better choice. It's faster. It's easier to set up. Blah blah blah. But RS-485 is bulletproof almost. You know, it just works. There's devices out there that have been working on RS-485 for 30, 40 years. Never had an issue. HA, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Modbus needs local power supply to the device. Modbus. No, that's right, David. You don't get what's it called? The name is escaping me at the moment. PoE. Yeah, you don't get PoE on Modbus. That's right. But I mean, would you? I guess maybe there would be cases where you maybe would want that, but I can't think of any. Any devices I ever communicate with need to be powered to work anyway. You know, they need power. I guess PoE would sort of eliminate the need to wire power to it, but yeah. Can you coach someone from Africa? I don't really do coaching, D-Man. The best I can do is, if you're a super fan, I'll try and give you as much time as I can over DMs and that sort of thing. But I just don't really have the time to do one-to-one training or anything like that. Yeah, unfortunately. Samers, thank you for the follow, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's Modbus, really. I don't really know if there's much else to talk about on Modbus other than it is a good protocol, it is slow, it's old school, but it's easy and it works. I don't work with any Delta PLCs, mate, no. I know they're pretty big in the States, but I found them pretty difficult to get hold of. I wanted a Click PLC. I did want to play with one of them because they look pretty good and they're apparently quite cheap. but I just couldn't really get hold of one in the UK. Have I used WinCC? I haven't, Stephen. I'm still kind of learning Tier Portal. I haven't gone crazy with it yet. I've done some PIDs, which I did last week. What else have we done? One thing I haven't done, or haven't shown, might be good to, but I don't know about doing it in Siemens, is function blocks and that sort of thing. Can you store your tags on your Mitsubishi PLC? Yeah, so what I would do, and I think is actually what I am doing, I can't really remember what's reading the data from the Siemens at the moment, but there is something, maybe it's the HMI, yeah. But if I was to set up the Mitsubishi PLC as the master, and the Siemens as a slave, which it already is set up as, I could read that data from the Siemens, put it in the Mitsubishi, and then use that data for my logic or to send to something else. You know, you could have like, I wonder if there's a way of me showing this. We might have to get a... I'm going to dig paint out. That's the level we're going to at the minute. Okay, so let's say I have a Siemens PLC there. That's my S7-1200. I apologise, this is crazy, but hopefully it'll make sense. So I've got an S7-1200. That might be connected to, I don't know, some switches. Say 2 switches, and it might be connected to, I don't know, some form of sensor. I don't know, say it's a temperature sensor. So that's local in the field. That's, you know, somewhere else. Let me do that a different colour. That's in the field somewhere, miles away. And actually, I might have... Let me see if I can copy that. I might have a couple of those. I might have that somewhere else. Can I make that smaller? I can. So I might have 2 of those, actually. This is bad. But then also, what I could say is maybe on site somewhere, I have, that's not what I want. I have a Mitsubishi PLC FX5U. And that's like the master controller or something. That
Thanks for the follow.
Could read Modbus data from that S7-1200 and also from that S7-1200. That could read that data and then send it out to, I don't know, let's use a different colour. A SCADA. And that might even be a, I don't know, that could be a Wonderware SCADA, which is a whole different manufacturer in itself. And that all could be, I mean, that's pretty terrible. No one can make out what that's saying. Let me just type it. Oh shit, my bad. I feel like if I click out of that, it's gonna... Oh, there we go. So all of that could be done over Modbus. I wouldn't need any other protocol. Now, I'm not saying you would do it like that, but you could do it like that. Even though they're all completely different brands, manufacturers, that might not even be an S7-1200 down there. That might be... hang on. Let me rub that out. We're really going to school tonight, ain't we? Okay, so that could be a M221, which is a Schneider PLC. 221. You could do all that with Modbus. All these different manufacturers, all these different brands. You could do it all just with one protocol. It would be quite slow, like I said. Like, Modbus isn't known for being a fast protocol. But it would work. And they're completely different manufacturers that have the different native protocols. But it could all be done with Modbus because it's an open protocol. And the reason why so many manufacturers use Modbus, not just for its openness, but I believe it doesn't cost them anything. So a lot of communication protocols have a license to them. You know, if a manufacturer wants to use Profinet, they're probably going to have to pay Siemens, or, you know, I'm assuming it's Siemens who made it. They're going to have to pay them some money to put it in their controller to be able to use it. They have to license it. So, yeah, I don't believe that's the case with Modbus, and that's why it's so popular. I've missed a lot of comments. Note there is a limited number of devices per Modbus channel. You're right, there is, and it would depend on the controller and that sort of thing. There's also, is there... Yeah, I don't know the limits, I'll be honest. I think they might vary between controllers. And also, there's a limit to the number of registers you poll at any one time. There's little nuances here and there, but overall, it's a pretty good protocol. It's old but gold. It is. You're right, Chat. Tier Portal is horrible on Modbus. You're right, Apple. Yeah, I mean, I can show you why. In fact, that was in the right. Yeah, the setting up of the Modbus gave me headache for a whole day. Apparently, you need to do that. So if anyone wants to do it, have a little screenshot on your phone, and yeah, it should look something like that. There's the data block as well, which you do have to set up. You have to set this Connect one up. That requires a fair bit of setting up. Yeah, it was a headache. I had to just start Googling and stuff like that. Modbus can't be used for real-time control, no. I'm unaware, so I know real-time control exists, but I'm unaware where you need that and what it's used for, I'll be honest, PB. It's definitely not used in our industry, really, because you work in power generation too, I think. Any thoughts on DIFE controllers? I don't really like them, buddy. I don't like them, Diesel Daz. Comap is the controller I prefer. That's my, like, if I'm given the option, I'll always go with a Comap. If it's fairly straightforward and a simple setup, I'll maybe even pick a Deep Sea, because I prefer like a 7410 over like an MRS 16 from Comap. Yeah. Top tip, download the SCADA plugin for TIA. I'm new, but that one tripped me up big time. What? I don't know what the SCADA plugin is, Stephen. Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I mean, store tags when you download, as I've tried to upload from a PLC and there was no tags. Oh, I see what you're saying. It depends on how old the PLC was. I think with the FX5s and stuff, you definitely can. With like FX2s, maybe even 3s, it was just never an option. You couldn't download the comments, or at least if your comments were longer than like 16 characters, you couldn't download them. Yeah, the older Mitsubishi stuff had some nightmares to it, Snarky Man, I'll be honest. What we need to use to marry up everything together, UA? I'm not sure what you mean, Peter. Just, I guess give me a little bit more detail what you're asking there, and I'll be able to help, I think. The fun is checking that multiple manufacturers' devices operate on a common Modbus channel. I mean, I believe, you know, most modern controllers will have some form of Modbus. I don't know, you know, I can't give examples of every one, but every Schneider controller will be able to do Modbus. Siemens can clearly do Modbus. Mitsubishi can, at least the newer stuff can do Modbus. But yeah, I don't know about Beckhoff and all them. I would assume they can. Motion control is where you need it. Something, yeah. Again, yeah. Well, like you mentioned, PB. I don't really get involved with all that stuff, so I've never needed to use it. Yeah. Used to work for Kawasaki Robotics. Ah, okay, that's interesting. Oh, so you haven't always been a generator guy. You used to do robotics as well. That's interesting. Can you do some CodeSys ST videos? I probably could. I mean, I don't know if I've still got it open, but this isn't CodeSys, but structured text is generally structured text. This was a function block that I put together, so I've got a main, and I'm using one function block, scale and clamp it's called, 3 different times. This is all structured text, and in that function block is just a method of scaling a value, really. You just feed that function block with the parameters it needs. I've lost it, main. So there's some parameters involved with that function block. Each time I just give it those parameters, and I'm able to scale multiple different things with one block. I did want to start looking into function blocks and stuff like that tonight, but I haven't really got time now. Now we went down the Modbus rabbit hole. But CodeSys, I haven't actually got that downloaded on my computer at the moment. However, I will look into that. I will keep that in mind, Andrew K. Thank you for the suggestion as well, by the way. For control panel use, think BMS link via BACnet instead of Alt3 signals. Yeah, I've found that to be dependent, really, David. I know BACnet is used in BMS a lot, but I've also, the majority of the time when I've had to interface with a BMS, they've usually asked for Modbus registers. With the odd occasion where they want Vault-free stuff. Normally they want the, the important stuff, common shutdown, common fault or something. They want that on like a Vault-free. But then they'll pick up the random, power data and stuff like that over Modbus. Is Modbus safe when it comes to cybersecurity? Yeah, I would. It hasn't really got any security. Modbus TCP, that is. Yeah, it doesn't really have any security behind it. Not anything modern anyway. It has like. Nah, I'll just say no. I think the answer is no. In fact, David, you've already let him know. Yeah. I would suggest never put a Modbus TCP network on like a site's LAN or anything like that. Keep it separate. Always keep it separate. Did you use Arduino? I have used Arduinos, but not tonight. Not tonight, mate. Is Toyota involved in any way in PLC manufacturing? Good question, D-Man. I'm not sure, buddy. I'm not sure. Have you ever used Arduino? I have, yeah, Bennett. I've got a video. I've got a couple of videos, I think, showing OpenPLC, which is a software that you can use on an Arduino. So, like on a 2-3 pound microcontroller to run like ladder logic like that. I wonder if I've got a better example. Did I do any ladder logic in here? Yeah, so you can basically program an Arduino using ladder logic if you download OpenPLC. Totally free, doesn't cost a penny. Did you look at AC Automation PLC? I mentioned before. I would like to see what you think. I do remember you mentioning it, Lee, but I don't think I have looked at it. I do remember you mentioning it. Yeah, I haven't. I'll be honest. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I haven't. Yeah, I just haven't had time. And then to be fair, I kind of forgot that you'd asked. I'll try and make a note. I'll have a look into it. Yeah. What application you use, bro? For what? I've shown a ton of software tonight. Which one, buddy? This is Siemens TIA Portal. That is Machine Expert HVAC, which is Schneider PLC software for M172 controllers. What else have I shown?
Thanks for the follow.
Appreciate the follow, thank you, Mr. Mogale. I've shown Simu Relay. I've shown all sorts of softwares tonight. A battle with generator customers asking for every alarm under the sun and Vault-free. Yeah, I agree with you, PB. I get it all the time. I get them asking for Vault-free, but then ask for Modbus as well for the exact same signals, and you're like, well, just pick one or the other. And the problem with using Vault-free is you need more expansion cards, you need more relays or whatever. It's hardware. Whereas if they were just happy with the BMS stuff, not BMS, the Modbus stuff, it makes everyone's life easier. BACnet is used a lot in the BMS world. Yeah, I imagine you use that quite a lot, do you, Snarky Man? Come visit Kenya, bro. It's a long way away. I'll put it on my list of places to visit. Yeah. What are you making today? Do you know what, mate? I came on without really any idea of what to do tonight. It was going to be quite a chill one.
Thanks for the follow.
One of the first comments I got was asking me, how does Modbus work? What is it? That sort of thing. So I went down that rabbit hole. Yeah, we've been talking about Modbus all night. I showed... It was a good question to ask because I actually have my Siemens PLC set up in my office. I just needed to go power it up. And we've basically showed how I can read
Thanks for the follow.
Modbus data from my Siemens PLC in a different room. Whereabouts am I based? North Yorkshire in the UK, mate. Signal front end visual overload if you're not careful. What's that in reference to, David? What's the most fun or challenging project you've worked on? Probably a project that I did last year, which was my local hospital. And basically, it was a massive project. It was a big project. I think it was over 20 control panels. And it was a COMAP system. I don't know if anyone works with power generation other than PB, who's in the chat somewhere. There was over 20 control panels. I think it featured something like it was like 18 or 19 COMAP controllers and maybe like 40 or 50 I/O. There was 2 18-inch HMI screens. It was a big challenging project, but the thing that was nice about that project was my children were kept alive in that hospital because they were born premature. So like doing the project, it kind of felt like I was kind of giving back a little bit. I know it sounds silly, but that's how I felt about it. I was quite proud of that. It all worked really well. It was a HV system, so it was 11 kV. We're controlling some HV generators, doing all the switchgear stuff, loads of comms. Like I say, there was 2 big 18-inch screens. It was a good project. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. I also, another very challenging project, this was probably more challenging in fact, was it was on a Mitsubishi Q series PLC that is, I think it was a panel that was installed in like 2009 on a power station, and the power station, this was for a generator, backup generator. There was 4 of these, and these generators basically were just black start generators. So if the power station ever shut down for any reason, these generators would run and keep the oil pumps moving and stuff like that, because these gas turbines are like, you know, huge multi-megawatt turbines. If they were ever to stop spinning or the oil was to stop flowing, you're talking hundreds of millions of pounds worth in damage. Anyway, fast forward all these years later, they put in a big 50 megawatts of battery energy storage, and they wanted to use these generators that were basically doing nothing apart from sitting there idle waiting for the worst to happen. They wanted to use them to charge the battery energy storage in the event that, you know, they were discharged. Yeah, so working on like a really old PLC, doing that was interesting. It was very, very, very difficult, but that worked, and it worked well, and I was very proud and happy afterwards. Yeah, I see what you're saying, PB. Yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of people don't like the comms, but a lot of the time they're only really, asking for trivial alarms and stuff like that. So it's not going to, affect the system in any way if the Modbus went down to the BMS. But you're right. If Vault 3 goes to the BMS, and that BMS is on its own, industrial network protocol, whatever. If that went down, they lose it anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so long story short, they were the 2 that came to mind when you asked that question. Appreciate the question though, buddy. Cause and effect. The commissioning, well, at least for the hospital, was 2 months, I think. 2 months worth of commissioning. The design side was over a year. There was multiple meetings a week. At the end of it, the customer actually, and this is the first time it's happened, the customer took us out for a meal and stuff as a way to say thank you for our efforts on the project, which I thought was nice. I've not had that before. You've got 3 11 kV generators. Yeah, there seems to be a way the hospitals are going. A lot of the it used to be a lot of local generation. Each different little department would maybe have its own little mini generator with a brake changeover or something. But it does seem to be the way these big hospitals are going, is just have massive HV generation that just powers the entire site, and maybe even keep some of the local generation just as a backup to the backup. Hearing PLC on a Saturday night is my nightmare. Welcome in, Penrose. I'm glad that you've clicked on. Yeah, we're just chilling, talking PLCs. I was showing some Modbus stuff. But we're coming to the end now, to be fair. I've been on for over an hour and a half now. How do you share this to your live account? I'm not sure what you mean, buddy. I'm not sure what you're asking there, D-Man. Are you asking just how you share? If you wanna share the live stream, holding the screen, it will bring up a little window. And on the left it will say repost, I think. Still use Q series today, pretty robust. Oh, you do new jobs with Q series? I wouldn't go for a Q series nowadays, just because it's either GX Developer or it's GX Works 2. I'd rather use an IQR and just use GX Works 3. To be fair, a lot of the time we just get away with using FXs now. Put some expansion on an FX, maybe even link up a couple of FXs. The only time we really use IQRs now is when we're doing hot standby jobs. So if you need, a live standby. So if the main PLC went down within, like, I don't know, a fraction of a millisecond, it swaps over to the other one, and you get no interruption to your process or anything. Axis, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Curse Milk, thank you for the follow. Someone's got no name there, but appreciate the follow. David Collins, thank you for the follow as well. How much time did it take you to become a master, ladies? I won't call myself a master, D-man, but I've been in the industry for nearly 14 years now. Yeah, so it's quite a while. I reckon, there's some people way more experienced in these comments than me. I know Snarky Man's coming to the end of his career. He's ready for retirement, get his feet up. I'm sure he knows a lot more than I do. Yeah, complete production lines with CC-Link, IE, Profibus, and with MES interface. MES interface. I don't. The MES isn't coming into my head. What that is, Jordski. Mitsubishi Electric something maybe. I'm 25. Is it late? No, not at all, mate. No, you still got plenty of years left in you for work. I don't know where you're from. Do you say you're from Kenya? I don't know about Kenya, but in the UK you work till you're like, well, it'll probably be about 70 by the time I've got to retirement age. So, you know, there's a lot of years left in you, mate. It's never too late to learn. Good evening. You don't seem to have a name. I don't know what's going on there. Is it a tick box or something? Yeah, I don't know. No Wagos or gaffer tape was used during this live stream. There was there wasn't any tonight. Just all software. Yeah, I do like a Wago though for like testing control panels and stuff, because I get involved with the functional testing of the panels that I design. For when like customers come, I do the factory acceptance tests and stuff like that. And if I need to pick up some negatives or something like that for some relays I chuck in for simulation or whatever, yeah, Wagos are the way to go, or Vagos, however you want to pronounce it. Oh, SQL server communication. Ah, I see. Yeah, I've never gone down that route, but you work in a different field to me, to be fair. Production lines. What sort of is there like a specific type of machine that you install or design or whatever, Jordski? Kenya, yeah. 55 in Kenya. Oh, you're lucky. I think currently in the UK it's 68, but I would imagine by the time I get to 68 it'll probably be 70 or something. I'll probably never get to retire. Did you work with ASI bus before? I haven't. No, I haven't, buddy. I haven't. You can get out early. Yeah, I just need to earn the money, don't I? I just need to do overtime or something, get out early, but I don't see that happening. I've got too many bills. You work in a Japanese company that makes turbochargers. Ah, interesting, Jordski. Ah, that sounds like good work. You work in Ava, Kenya. I'm not sure where Ava is, mate, or what it is, but I know Kenya. Yeah, I know Kenya. I've never been, but I'd like to go like a safari or something in Kenya. The wildlife there is pretty mad, isn't it? Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to call this a night. We've been at it for a while now. I appreciate everyone who's joined, liked, all that good stuff. My VM's gone to sleep. Yeah, just a bit of a short one tonight. Last week, I think I was going for like 3+ hours. It Yeah, it was a long time last week, but we were struggling with a PID in factory IO, which turned out to be a PLC sim bug or something. Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you to everyone who's liked. Thank you to everyone who's followed. Thank you to everyone who's gifted. Yeah, really, really appreciate it. Program all laser engraving vision tightening. Yeah, it sounds, Georgski, I'm jealous of the work that you do. It sounds awesome, mate. You're right, David. I don't think I'll ever do that, to be honest. I feel like those days were probably when I was in my 20s or something, maybe, but I didn't start live streaming till about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So, yeah, that's not going to happen unless there's a good reason, some sort of charity or something. But I appreciate everyone joining in tonight. Yeah, I will probably live stream tomorrow for a couple of hours around 8:30 p.m. UK time. If anybody, I guess I haven't really got any files. Well, I'll plug it anyway. So I've got a Discord, which any files that I generate during the live stream, I tend to put in there. I won't do it tonight because we haven't really generated any files. These are previous files. But yeah, if you click on my bio, I've got a link tree, and that link tree, it was basically just a little link in my bio. It'll take you to all my social media. The Instagram's been popping off this week. I'd appreciate anyone who wants to follow me over there. The entire live stream will be uploaded to YouTube probably tomorrow. So if you missed anything tonight, we basically went through Modbus and explained as best as I could on short notice how Modbus works. That will be on YouTube tomorrow, the entire live stream. Yeah, so thank you to everyone who's joined. Appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow if you can make it. Can you give us an IO list and assignment that let everybody send their attempts? Not on short notice, Georgski, just because I don't really know. Let me think. Can I think of something relatively straightforward? That's interesting that you asked that. I don't know. Maybe I'll think about it for tomorrow. Yeah, I'll think about it for tomorrow. And maybe I'll yeah, like a teacher and student, I'll set some homework and you can have a go and see how you get on. Yeah, I'll think about it for tomorrow, Georgski, but it's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, appreciate everyone. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow if you can make it.